Hi, everyone. I'd be great, but I just realized I have to get Erica's picture up. She's not up yet. Wait, Erica. That's the one thing I
Ooh,
didn't
so I can
manage
make
to
all
do.
kinds of faces at you and no one will ever
You could
know.
totally pull faces. However, I wouldn't do it quite yet because
Seat of the RV on the road.
there, now Erica shows her beautiness.
Do I show? Do I show? I don't see me.
You will shortly. It will all
Cool.
come clear.
I mean,
So,
not that, I need to see me. I know what I look.
well, one of the things that we weren't able to do completely well last week was we weren't able to
Like.
show Dawn and me until like the very last second. But the really important question is to ask your people in the chat window, which I can't see, ask them if they can hear you when you talk.
Show
So, and you
right
should
away.
actually say
Oh,
something.
hi there. Can you hear me when I speak? Oh, there I am dancing and everything.
And now I have root beer.
Oh, you weren't supposed to tell them it was
Mm,
root beer. You were supposed to wait and see if
that's
they
right.
made a smart comment about drinking on the job.
No, I blew it. It was a great idea
Oh,
though.
because they can hear me, so yay.
Oh,
No, that's because
oh,
that
I
is
have
just an essential part of
fixed.
life.
I have fixed it. Ew, ew. Oh,
We
I
bow
am
to you. We bow to you.
so relieved. Oh my gosh. Okay. So Erica, I'm going to put
Yes.
you by yourself up on the screen. Can you tell us about your trip a little bit?
Oh, it was so much fun, and uh, I wish that Little Brown Jug, Sarah Terrace singing Little Brown Jug at you. Um,
She's back in style.
yes. So she's back minus gallbladder. Um,
Right.
so we left Tuesday morning in our borrowed RV, and which is a gift from heaven. We picked up our friend's two daughters um, to give them a ride up because he couldn't go up until Thursday, but the kids wanted to go up Tuesday.
Right.
And these particular kids have been going on this camping trip literally their whole lives.
Wow.
So they were completely comfortable staying in a tent without their dad um,
Right.
and stepmom and being there. So um, once some of the other families got there, it was just we barely saw them. It was no big deal to be officially in charge of them because there's total, I think, 12 families that come on this trip.
Wow.
And um, so the kids just kind of run in a pack. Um, so we go Tuesday through Sunday, and I don't know why I'm gesturing, but anyway, we go Tuesday through Sunday, and we were the first ones there. And that first day, three other families showed up, and then for 2 days it was just the four families, and then the other families started trickling in. And by Saturday night for our Saturday night festivities, we had between kids and adults, I believe we counted 51 people.
Wow.
And and apparently I was not aware of this until I was painfully reminded of it. I completely had forgotten. Apparently, the first annual camping trip of this tradition was in July of 1996, and it was our friends Dan, Dante, and Arnie who went, and apparently they invited Andrew, but we had been married less than a year, and I guess I freaked out at the idea of his being gone for 5 nights and said, "No way, Jose." So Andrew didn't get to go until like 5 years ago. Um, so he would have been one of the founding members, and we did get a I did get a good picture of the four guys together, and it was really kind of it just tickled me to no end because these guys were in in 1993 or 1994, these guys were, shall we say, heartthrobs at church. They were the guys
Oh,
that all the girls wanted to go out with, and now here
oh,
they are, the old guys.
right.
So it was really kind of fun. And
That's kind of
you know,
adorable.
again, seeing the kids run, all the kids that were there running around in a pack, kids from, I think the youngest was 7 or probably 7,
Oh, wow.
um, all the way up to a kid who's going to be a senior in high school.
Wow.
Um, so, and my kids weren't there, or we have the, being the first ones married, we have the oldest kids. So it was
That's
just so
awesome,
much
though.
fun. We're getting really good at this. Every year we go, we we get better. This is my 4th year going, um,
Wow.
and always in either a trailer or an RV, which I'm just too old for this whole sleeping bag on the ground in a tent business. Um, and I'm just not that kind of gal.
Not
And
interested.
the queen size bed in the RV with the toilet for the middle of the night, a microwave and an oven and a stove, a fridge. Yeah, baby.
That's the one.
So we're getting so good that it only took us an hour to get set up when we got there, and that included setting up the tent for the 2 girls we drove up. So
Wow.
I took with me some craftiness. Okay, I totally stink as far as Tour de Fleece. I did zero thinking. I took my stuff with me. I just didn't do it. But I
You're in
took
good company.
some people may have seen on the blog. I posted a picture of a skein of Noro Silk Garden sock that I had gotten in a
Mm.
my knitting group had a going away party for one of the girls who is has moved away. Well, bye, Julie. And we did a what we call a Zen night, which is where basically everybody brings yarn they want to get rid of, and you don't. It's not a straight yarn swap. You don't have to do a bring 3 skeins. You can take 3 skeins. People bring
That's
whatever,
nice.
and you can take whatever, even if you didn't bring anything.
Oh,
And
cool.
then anything that's left over at the end of the night gets donated.
That's
And
nice.
so I took a whole bunch of stuff and came home with only 1 skein. Oh, Vicky, I don't know where Dawn is today. We can't remember.
No, I think she told me that she couldn't be here, but I can't remember.
We just can't
I
remember. We're having a moment.
I am
We're
totally
having
having a senior
a senior
moment.
moment. Um, so I had posted a picture of the skein on the blog and asked for suggestions on what did people think I should make. And calling it Silk Garden sock is really a misnomer because number one, it's sport weight.
Right.
Number two, it's a single,
Oh,
and
right.
it's just not sturdy enough for socks.
Right.
And this particular skein had been a victim of the the wool eating winged creatures. Um,
Oh no.
so in the first 100 yards or so, there were probably 5 breaks in the yarn,
Right.
but I dealt with it, and then it was fine after that. It was just sort of the outer layer of the skein. But so using size 8s, I made a very simple garter stitch pie shawl. Now
Seriously?
it still is yet to be, hasn't been washed or blocked yet, so the bottom won't be so ruffly, and it will get, and it just is permeated with campfire smoke smell.
That's not
But
bad.
for those playing at home,
It's
it's
not a bad
all
thing.
greens and blues and
It's
purples.
it's greens, blues, and purples, but there's also some really interesting kind of transitional. It looks like khakis, and and it goes from kind of a light lilac to A darker purple? Is that true? Are those true colors that I'm seeing on there?
Pretty much, yeah. It's funny because when you're looking at the skein, you don't see the purple. But I was
Ah.
thinking to myself, oh, I bet there's purple hiding in there because the last skein of Noro I had it was like that, where there was some purple in there even though you couldn't see it. Um, oh, uh,
Yep, I just got it too.
Crick, Cricket Knits says that whenever she's got a skein that she doesn't know what to do with, but she's in love with it, she crochets charity hats. But that's because
Oh,
she's a nicer person than I am.
that's
Um,
that's a really good
and
idea.
then um, uh, Barbara says it's kind of an earthy vibe, and I totally agree, Barbara, that that's part of why I wanted to work on it on this camping trip, because it just seemed appropriate for the Heather, stop sending me texts.
I'm sorry. I'm actually talking to Dawn because I just got a text from Dawn, so you can ignore all of this. She's
Um,
she's helping one of the coaches at her school, at her kids'
ah,
school, so she
so
will
we
hop on
miss
if
you,
she
Dawn.
can.
Um, so anyway, it seemed highly appropriate. And then so that was my crafting while I was there. And the thing is, I cast it on about an hour after we got there on Tuesday, and I finished it Friday.
Oh,
And
wow. Seriously?
and on size 8, so it was very loose. But and then I'm sitting around going, well, what do I do now?
That's exactly what I'd be doing.
Because I had another knitting project with me, but I didn't want it to get smoky.
Right, right, right.
It was my in the car knitting, not my knitting by the fire.
Right.
Um, oh, and to answer Vicky, yes, this was just one skein, um, which is 300 and something yards. Um, I will post a picture after it's been washed and had the bejabbers stretched out of it. Um,
I look forward to
and
that.
yes, I should have packed more to knit Tara, but actually I had brought spinning that I had fully intended to do, and then it just didn't ever happen. And to answer an aside question before I forget to answer it, I get my CPAP machine on Wednesday. So
Yay!
ah, and to add to the further to the excitement, um, they worked out a thing with my insurance company where the place is out of network, but they're going to accept the out of network price or from the insurance company and waive the rest.
Rock on, Erica. Way to go.
So
That's
I'm
huge.
super lucky. So I get to go to the place that's walking distance from my house instead of driving 20-25 minutes to this other place that was slow in getting back to me and stuff. So
That's fabulous, though. Well
yes.
done, you.
And my other crafting thing wasn't something that I crafted this week, but it was some past crafting that I brought with me that helped me on the trip. Um, and this needs to be washed too because now it reeks of campfire smoke. But it is
As all the
in my
best
Ravelry
does.
projects. I'll link to it. In my Ravelry projects, I called it Giant Stash Eating Cowl, and it is a ridged Mobius cowl from Noro Silk Garden. Used 4.76 skeins, and my earring just fell out.
Oh
In the color 275 on size 9s, and it's huge. Let me take off the thing I'm wearing and show you this thing. I didn't even have to put on a jacket this trip.
no. Wow.
I and it was I mean, it was great. I mean, and for those of you who are not familiar with California, July, warm, and not so much. Jeans, a long sleeve t-shirt, a sweatshirt, that cowl, a wool hat, and initially when we first got there, I had wool mitts on. Actually, as it warmed up, I pushed up. That's how you do a beach in Northern California in July. Um,
When you're
the
an
hot
adult, that's how you do a
um,
beach.
yes, and the hot weather comes in mid-August to October. And yes, AT quoted that Mark Twain thing that the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And it's true. We joke in the summertime driving across the Golden Gate Bridge, you can always pick out the tourists because in June or July, because they're the ones wearing shorts and brand new touristy sweatshirts that say San Francisco or Alcatraz Island
Because
or
they had to buy them.
something like that they had to pay through the nose for down at the wharf because they didn't check the weather before they came and just thought California summer, it's gonna be hot. And no, it's not. You need to check the weather where you're going, people. Um, so
Yep. Yeah.
so uh, that was how crafting saved me. Um, and we also did a lot of prep beforehand this time, and some of the meat that we took with us was already like cut up for kebabs and marinated and sealed in food bags, so that all
Nice.
we had to do is you know, thaw it and throw it on skewers on the fire, and we all our meat was cooked
Nice.
on the campfire. Andrew loves cooking on the campfire,
That
so we
tastes
had
so much better.
we since it was just the two of us, we didn't have to bring nearly as much food or as much stuff, so we really roughed it. One night we did bring some leftover lamb to have, so we had roasted lamb one night, but then the other nights we had sausages one night, we had filet mignon another night, we had New York strip steaks, we had the chicken kebabs and veggie kebabs. You know, we were really not exactly roughing it. So
You did okay.
yes, we did okay, and to go with some of the chat I see in the chat room, I did do a little reading. I took a book to read, but likewise, I ran out of reading. I finished my book. I was closer to the end than I thought I was, and
Oh,
I
wow.
finished reading Stardust by Neil Gaiman.
Did you love it?
So I liked it. I wouldn't say I loved it.
Had you read it
I
before?
liked. I had not read it before, but I liked. I didn't like it as much as I liked American Gods and Anansi Boys.
Yep.
But I liked it. I just didn't love it. I think the next one I'm going to read is was it The Ocean at the End of the Pier or something like that?
Ocean at the End of the Lane. And are you going to listen to it or read it?
I'll read it. I'll
Okay,
read it.
because that's the book that I mentioned. Andrew and I had a complete difference of opinion when Thing
Ah,
One said he wanted to read it. I said, "Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, you're going to love it. It's amazing. And if you want to listen to it, I've got the audiobook. Neil Gaiman reads it. It's beautiful." And Andrew's jaw was like on the floor. And he said, "That's the scariest book he's ever written. Why are you telling
oh,
him he should read it?" And I said, "What now?"
ooh,
And I am convinced that what happened was Andrew read it on paper or on Kindle. I
yeah.
listened, and Neil Gaiman's voice is so beautiful and so soothing that even when it's like, "And then Satan himself opened the door and said, 'I'm here for your soul," you just kind of go, "Oh, okay, that sounds great. Thanks." Be- because he's just so good. So I have a completely different read on that book than Andrew does. But he agreed with me in retrospect this last week that it's
Interesting.
one of his most beautifully written books, which is saying something because I think he's a lovely writer, just in general.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and um, Sarah agrees with AT in it. She liked it, but she preferred the movie, which
Of
it,
Stardust?
I agree with AT that yes, of Stardust, that is, you know, an unusual thing. Usually the book is better. Almost always the book is better. But yeah, Sarah likes the movie a lot better. Sarah's one of these. Sarah rereads books if she likes them, and she rewatches movies if she likes them. And
Mm,
I can't count how many times she has watched Stardust. Um,
interesting.
so yeah, she really likes it.
I can
And
see that.
the movie quite grabbed me.
Yeah. Plus,
So
anytime Rupert Everett is in anything, I, I'm happy. I don't care that he wouldn't want to go out with me. I really don't. I mean, I'm sad and all, sure, but I just find him hilarious. He's ever since we saw what was an ideal husband. I
oh, I haven't seen that one.
it came out. It came out in the late '90s, like '90.
I think I've heard of it. I just haven't seen it.
He's in it.
Well, late
Kate
'90s.
Blanchett.
I had I had I had a kid in '98, so I was a little busy in the
You
late '90s.
then I'm gonna predict that it was '98 that the movie came out. It's worth hunting down just because it's so hard to see good Oscar Wilde, and Rupert Everett is kind of the king of good Oscar Wilde. He's the one who did with
I think.
Colin Firth. They did
Hmm.
The Importance of Being Earnest, which is the best. It's the best version I've seen on video. Hard to do.
Oh, really?
Oscar Wilde's
I'll
hard to
have
do.
to have my actress child watch that.
Yes, because
Um,
the boys loved it and understood it, which is also saying something.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
So cool.
Which reminds me that next week, speaking of plays and acting, and AT saying she liked him best in Shakespeare in Love.
He was
Um,
marvelous as Marlowe.
uh, reminds me that this time next week, Abby will be on her way to Ashland, Oregon for the Shakespeare Festival.
Whoa.
Um, Abby just we we just barely mentioned to my dad that Abby was interested in the Shakespeare Festival, and boom, my dad bought
Really?
tickets for the 1 week that she was available. So, and my dad and sister go up pretty much every year.
Ashland's
Um,
so awesome.
so, oh, it's gorgeous. I love Ashland, and we actually have some friends who live there now, and um,
Yay.
some other friends who are actually considering retiring there,
Wow.
and
Are they
and
prepared for
stuff.
the traffic in
So
the
much
summertime?
cheaper and it's beautiful. But Abby's so excited because she would be grateful to get to see one play up there while they're
Yeah.
there. But my dad got tickets to 4 different plays,
Dude.
and there are 3 different theaters up there, and he's making sure they get to see a play in each theater. So Abby gets to see what each different theater is like. Um,
Wow.
I think they're seeing 2 different plays in the Elizabethan theater, and then one each in each of the 2 other theaters.
That's so
And
cool.
so she's just over the moon with that.
As she should be. I have a friend who did a couple plays at Ashland, but
Oh, nice.
I never got up there when things weren't sold out. The only time I was up there
Yeah.
at the right, at the right time, everything was sold out, so.
Well, and I think they even got the tickets for the special backstage tour
Oh my
and
gosh.
everything. So they're doing it up. Yeah. Um,
Wow.
and she's got a couple audiobooks that for of books that she's supposed to read before the school year starts that she's going to listen to on the ride, because that's a good 8 or 9 hour car ride
Oh,
up there.
yep.
Um,
Is-
unless you do something really wacky and like take uh, Highway 1 along the coast, in which case it's about 15 hours.
I was gonna
Um,
say that would make it a lot longer.
but that won't happen. Uh, they made that mistake once, and I don't think they're going to do that again.
That's when I met my elephant seals, though. I
I'm
told
sorry.
did I tell you my elephant seal? I can't remember if I talked about this on the show. I did something totally illegal because I didn't know any better. It was
You
my
steal an elephant seal?
no, I took pictures. And I'm not I okay. So I'm driving up. I'm almost to Hearst Castle. I'm all by myself in the car. It's the end of my first year teaching. I am about to have a nervous breakdown if I don't get out of Los Angeles. So literally, the school day ended, and I hopped in the car, and it was a
Yeah.
half day. So it's what 4. I beat some of the traffic, so it's 4 or 5 o'clock. It's still sunny because it's early in the summer. It's beautiful, and I'm just about to hit Hearst Castle, and I have the windows down, and the breeze is blowing my hair back, and it's so awesome. And I hear the most god awful sound I've ever heard come from a car, I thought. And I thought, oh my God, I'm here alone. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Hearst Castle is a hike from here. I am so screwed. And so um, I went up and I pulled off the side of the road and I opened the hood and I can still hear it. And it's my car is idling, but it's not, the sound is not coming from the inside of my car. So I turn off the car and I can still hear the sound, but now I can tell that it's coming from down on the beach. And I'm a curious person. So what is this? And I walked over to the cliff side because this is one of those places where it's those California cliffs that are it's kind of a slope for a little while, and then all of a sudden there's the part that turned out to be rock instead of just sand. And
Oh, huh.
and so I could tell that there was an easy way down. It wasn't like those horrible jetties that you can slip on. This was all dry land. So I walked down because it is carpeted with elephant seals, this little inlet. And I had my camera with me, and I was 26. I didn't know any better. I walked down there and I was not completely stupid. The males were all down at the other end of the little sandy beach area it was very protected for them. It was really lovely. So I stayed over with all the cows and I took a picture of a cow, I am not joking, where she was doing this. She was doing like a total Marilyn Monroe kind of cheesecake pose with her flippers. And it's because they were all molting. So they weren't moving anywhere fast. They were just fine. I got as close to the cow as I am to my computer screen because I didn't know any
Whoa.
better. It never occurred to me that these are ginormous things that could flatten me like a pancake because they were all molting and so not active. Although the males down at the other end were doing the thing where they were, actually rubbing the skin off of each other. Thing two is home and he is lurking. Come say hello. Come say hello quickly. Because you're on a.
This name's not Quickly.
This is not quickly. This is thing two, whose hair I striped for him. Don't make stupid faces.
I want to see the striped.
Come back and show the striped again. We striped him. Bye. So, so,
Ah,
so it wasn't until
nice.
I got up to Big Sur that I found out that what I had done was completely illegal and really, really dangerous. But but it was one of those magical things that if I had known any better, I would never have experienced. But it was, in retrospect, real dumb.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yes. What that saying about God protects drunks and foolish people or something?
yeah, I think that didn't work out so well for us last Thursday night though, because I woke up in the middle of the night.
Foolish or you were drunk?
I was not drunk. Sadly, in retrospect, I wish I had been. But I woke up, it was like 1:40 in the middle of the night, and I hadn't heard anything because our air conditioning unit in the bedroom was on. But I woke up, I think I probably just turned over and opened my eyes for a split second and realized that something was really, really wrong. And then opened my eyes for real. And the bedroom, our bedroom is at the front of the house. Our bedroom was as bright as day. And it's 1:40 in the morning.
Okay.
And it's not just bright as day, it's bright as day with blue and red lights flashing,
Oh dear.
right? So there's not a ton of houses around here. We have people on both sides of us, our landlord and then a really nice family next door. And then we have people across the street, but they're all of their houses are set way, way back. So I thought, well, maybe the fact that I haven't heard anything is because it's one of their houses that's on fire. I should probably go check and maybe water our roof if something's going on. So I went to our front
Right.
window and there were I had to look at two different windows to look up the street and down the street. There were a grand total of four fire trucks. One of them was a ladder and three EMT vehicles and three cop cars.
Oh my goodness.
There's no fire. Nothing smells like smoke. Nothing appears to be in flames. Nobody appears to be moving. Like all the firemen on the one side of the house, they've all got their turnout coats on the ground. They're all in their suspenders and their pants. And they're just standing like this, leaning up against the truck. And I thought, okay, well, that's not normal. And then I looked out the
Okay.
other side of the house, and all of the officers and the EMTs are down there, and they're doing the same thing. So we can't really see very clearly out of the front
It's
window.
weird.
Yeah, it's very, very weird. And I looked out the front window and I saw three police officers standing, and I can't see what they're standing by. And I thought, well, it's probably a car accident, and I'm going to bet it was pretty bad. And I'm going to bet
Huh.
somebody got thrown from a car because whatever it is isn't moving. And this was my creativity for the weekend, was figuring out what had
But there
happened.
would have been hubbub and activity around the person.
No movement, none. So I went to the garage where we actually have windows that face the street without an obstructed view, and it had been a motorcyclist who hit a deer. And he
Ooh.
hadn't been wearing a helmet.
Oh
Not that that was
no.
where the problem was, because his midsection hit his windshield, and
Ew.
he was gone before he hit the ground.
Oh
And
no.
it was one of those things where, it's not a slow motion train wreck because it's already happened. But it's that
Right.
the part of your brain that goes, okay, well that is not what I'm actually seeing, because that can't.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't happen in front of your house. But
Wow.
yes, it did. And cautionary tale to everyone watching is we don't ride motorcycles at night, fast or slow, where there are deer. It's a bad, bad, bad idea.
Certainly not without helmets.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe no windshields. I'm thinking get a clear launch off the bike instead of trying to bisect yourself, because that
Wow.
it's an effective device, evidently, if you wanted to cut yourself, but I don't recommend it.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's horrible.
I mean, as
I
somebody who
assume
grew
the
up,
deer didn't make it either.
no, the deer did not make it either. She appeared to have um, been moved, that the impact was hard enough to put them both, obviously launch them both into the air, but she ran for a little bit before she dropped because she was further down the road. But it was uh, but there are flowers out now. There are flowers for him, and there are also flowers for his bike, because I think he must have liked bike very, very much. And I
Wow.
mean, clearly, if you're driving late at night on a semi-country road, yeah. So I'm telling everybody I know, don't drive motorcycles around at night where there are deer. because you can't
And
stop fast enough.
always wear your
Always wear your
helmet.
helmet. I know.
Even if it's not the law where you are, wear your helmet.
Yeah. My
Mm.
dad, who's a motorcycle rider and has been since long before I was born, um, I remember we moved to Arizona where all the guys had the no helmet law bumper stickers, and I said something, fight the power. I was what, 14? I didn't know any better. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, motorcycle helmet laws, blah, blah, blah. And my dad looked at me and he said, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard you say. I'm like, really? Because that that had to be a competition right there. So how did that rate the stupidest? And he said, look, if you get in an accident and you're riding a bike and you don't die, let's say you're lucky and you don't die, you just get brain damage. Who's going to wind up paying ultimately? It's
Yeah.
everybody else on the insurance company is going to wind up forking over some amount of money to you for the rest of your life to help keep you on life support or
Right.
in a decent wheelchair or physical therapy. And it hadn't occurred to me before the ripple effect of those kinds of things that there's always a everybody always pays somehow. Like everybody who smokes, we're all paying for it. Our insurance rates are higher because you're smoking or or whatever.
Yeah. And well, and just the whole factor of it can be the one thing that saves your life.
Yeah, the helmet.
I uh, Andrew used to ride a motorcycle, always wears helmet. I know two different guys who riding their motorcycles were in accidents with cars, and it was not the motorcycle rider's fault. It was, in both cases, it was very clearly the driver's fault.
It doesn't
In
matter.
both cases, the helmet was the only thing that saved their life. And in one case, actually, the helmet cracked in two.
I've
And
seen
he
that
had brain
happen.
damage. It was never quite the same after.
Yeah. But better
Uh,
better than dead
and in
still.
the other case, it was a relative of ours, and I don't think he was even moving at the time that he got hit.
Oh
And
no.
it was one of these things where he was stopped at a light, and there was a car stopped behind him, and then a car behind that, and the car two cars behind him um didn't see that he was up there and got impatient and went around to make the
Oh
turn
no.
and plowed into him. He was going slowly, but and the guy on the motorcycle wasn't moving, but he still had multiple surgeries, was months and months and months in recovery, and it was just crazy.
Uh,
So, and AT's right. She said her brother-in-law and the other guys who work in his ER call people who ride motorcycles without helmets organ donors.
yes.
Um, it
Yes,
just
I've heard that.
it it's crazy.
It
So
is.
yes, I I'm I am not against motorcycles, but holy cow, wear your helmet.
Yeah. No,
And
I love riding motorcycles. But yeah, I'd rather be alive and healthy. So that was honestly, I had grand plans for working on my Tour de Fleece stuff because I still have it out, and epic fail on so many levels because I was I don't know, would that be PTSD? Whatever it was, I was not my normal me over
mm-hmm,
the weekend. There were these weird kind of moments of, wow, we're all really lucky to be alive. Let me burst into tears for a moment, kind of thing.
right.
So instead, what I did was facilitated everybody else's art. And one of the things that happened was thing one did a class last week on graphic graphic design, advertising and graphic design. And these are some of the images that he either uh, that's the advertisement that he did with the class. And I just looked at it and said, wow, okay, that's bizarre. It was a shoe sale. And then this is one he had done before class. And then the next one you'll see is the one he did after class. That was a Wednesday. He did the duck picture, which cracks me up. That's my wallpaper now. And then after the last day, he did this, where all of the vehicles have tentacles and shark fins and stuff like that. And and since then he's done another three. And the last one he did, which I can't, he has very cleverly not put that on the Dropbox where I can get at it. But he did an underwater scene, so it's all blues, and he's figured out how to do rays of light coming down and illuminating different parts of the undersea stuff. But he also has things like a carp with a tugboat on its back. Because why not?
Because why not?
He just does these amazing surreal things, and he's gotten so good at Photoshop. I'm rather stunned. So he has a couple of them on his website, his Far From Reality, which is hyphenated, so far-from-reality.com. He has a couple
And
of them up there.
AT says she loves his new website and she loves Aardvark Man. Aardvark Man rocks.
I love the, but that's going to do tens of dollars of damage to the men's bathroom on the Lower East Side. He's so happy to know that other people have his sense of humor. He said, I guess I'm not as weird as I thought I was. Nope.
Well, he is,
There
but
are
people
at
up
least
too,
three
so,
people.
Yeah, works out.
There are enough of us. But yeah, he did that, and then he sent me this last week.
Pardon my delay in my responses. I'm not getting it on.
I know you
on
have.
the,
Oh, that's right, because you can't see it until it pops up on the live stream.
right.
So it's pictures of George Washington that says when you just got a new country and you leave your kids alone with it for a couple centuries and they've already broken it. There, now you can see it.
Love it.
Isn't that great?
Love it.
Yeah, that's my boy. He knows what to send me. He goes on this website called iFunny, and it's just funny meme things that people post, and then he sends me links to the ones that he likes the best. So he sent me that one.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I found a picture of my root beer, so I can put that up.
Did he make that particular meme or did he find it?
No, he found that one. I don't think he's posted anything to iFunny yet. It'll happen, but it hasn't yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'll get around to it.
That would actually be really cool if there was something he created that he posted that then the rest of us saw floating around Facebook.
Yeah,
that would be really.
He's very hopeful.
Really...
He is very hopeful that he will at some point wind up with such a thing happening. He's gunning for it, but he's much more cautious. He's like me in that he has 1,000 ideas going through his mind all the time, and has a hard time filtering out which ones are the most practical or the best to aim at. At the same time, he already does a better job than me of filtering, so that instead of 10 things, he's got 5, and it'll happen. He'll wind up putting up something that he hasn't. I keep telling him that a lot of his ideas aren't big epic things, but they are really good, like Far Side panels. And he keeps saying, no, but my sense of humor is so weird, nobody's going to get it. And I think, they really, really will. I can guarantee.
Yeah, there's people who love Far Side, so yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very hopeful. And Thing 2 was in his show. He did his he was the Red King of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland. So he's done that. And if I could figure out how to do video, I would put that up, but I will break the machine. I don't want to do that.
Maybe you can get a still from it and
I know. I need to edit them is the problem, because it had to be done in a gymnasium, so they set it up as a theater, but it means that we were up high and far back, so all of my pictures have like the entire gymnasium wall, and I just have to crop them. Next week.
Yeah.
Or no, not next week, because we're not here for 2 weeks. That's right.
Ah.
Yep. because I have next week for prep, and then the week after I'm going to be in Southern California. My friend Sam is flying me out
Ooh.
to spend a week with her, which I haven't done for
And that's where it
1,000 years.
actually is warm at the beach in the summer.
Well, sometimes it depends because in at Newport Balboa, you always have that fog layer in the morning, so your mornings are nice and cool and foggy. Sometimes it lasts all the way until noon, but by August it'll probably burn off by 10, and then you get
That's true. I
the hot
remember
heat.
that from living down there. I remember going to summer school in, shorts or a skirt or something and a cardigan in the morning, and then
Yep.
later not wanting that.
Yep. Yep. That's when all the sweatshirts got tied around our waists, and
Yeah.
that was California in the morning. And I guess it's even cooler if you are down closer to San Diego. The coolness of the day lasts longer. But that's one of the things I liked about
Yeah.
Southern California. One.
Yeah. It was when I lived down there, we were uh south of LA proper on the water. I mean, not directly on the water, but
Down
on
in
the water.
Hermosa, were you down as far as Hermosa Beach or Manhattan Beach or
We were
San
near
Pedro?
there. We were near there. We enjoyed going there. We were on the Palos Verdes Peninsula.
Oh, yeah, that's right around the corner
So
from where I was in Long Beach. We could go up there. It's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. So we looked out over. We had this awesome view, especially because my parents never put a fence in the back, and our neighbors to
Wow.
the right of us didn't put in a fence, and the neighbors to the right of them didn't put in a fence. So we
Wow.
had this unobstructed view because our backyard, um, there was our yard and then it dropped down. So the houses behind us were actually below us.
Wow.
So we had unobstructed view. We could see all the way, looking out the back, we could see all the way to Malibu on the right and Catalina Island on the left.
Holy smoke.
Um,
You had a great view.
which was awesome for sunsets. It was awesome during the whale migration times.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the kitchen looked out. The window above the kitchen sink looked out to that. And so
Oh,
my mom could be doing dishes and preparing dinner and whatever, and watch the whales going by. And during the migration times, which if you're not from around here, that's in the spring and in the winter. There's when they go down, the whales go down from Alaska to Mexico to have their babies, and then there's when they're coming back up north to take the babies home. Um, and my mom would keep a tally on the refrigerator of how many whales she saw per day. Um, and she even actually helped save some boaters in distress one time. Was she saw the flare before the Coast Guard did and called it in, um,
wow.
and stuff. So
Wow. That's cool though.
yes, super mom.
Yeah, and
I'll tell
boy,
you her
that's the
other
view.
super mom story.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of them. There's one involving racism and a baseball bat. That was when she was a kid, and then there's another one involving catching a bad guy.
she
So
she sounds
I'll
like
tell those another.
Harley Quinn with the baseball bat. That's
Yeah, I know. I know.
she's
She
she the
was
woman.
yes.
That's very cool.
So
Wow.
very.
There was one other thing that, oh, I know. I was talking to Colette, who's my assistant, who gets all the links for the YouTube videos for me. So, hi, Colette. I was talking to her last night and she asked how I was doing on the mermaid tail. And I told her I'd found the pattern, I printed the pattern out. It's a crochet mermaid tail. I
Mhm.
read the pattern and it was all done, the original was all done in acrylic. And at first I went, oh no, acrylic. And then I realized, oh yeah, acrylic, because the kind of Yigi acrylic has that shimmery quality to it. that,
Uh,
the kind of plasticky, shimmery quality. And so I thought, oh well, okay, but that's kind of scratchy, and I don't want to make the blankety mermaid tail out of that. And then I thought, well, maybe if I blended that with cotton, like a similarly colored cotton, then I could do kind of some kind of gradation between um, the the different colors of cotton and the shimmeriness of the acrylic. And I got as far as trying to match acrylic shimmeriness and cotton and gave up. So if anyone is aware of any acrylic ocean colored yarn that's the multi, the kind that, the get color changes within the one skein, you're aware of any that work well with cotton from the same company or otherwise, please let me
hmm.
know, because I would really like to make it for them, but we're kind of limited. I'm going to wind up having to buy stuff online, and that means I can't touch it, and so I need to trust somebody else, which is easy to
You would
do.
think there'd be a cotton and acrylic blend that would work,
You
but
would, but they wouldn't do it with that cheap shiny acrylic. You know what I
uh,
mean? That stuff's not going to come blended. It's not Lion Brand. It's not something that's. It's probably Red Hat. Got to get some Red Hat.
hmm. Doesn't Red Heart's branching out?
Yeah, their stuff
Marley,
is
are
so
you
much
this?
better.
Does Red Heart have? Marley's probably podcasting right now too,
She
but
probably is. It's Tuesday.
Marley is the voice of Red Heart. She would know. I'm sure they've got a. I bet you they've got a blend these days.
That's true.
Um,
Their stuff has gotten so much better. I don't know.
yeah,
I like their
I
stuff a
mean they
lot.
still have the junky stuff you buy at Walgreens, but
Which you need. There are times when you absolutely need that.
yeah, absolutely. I agree with the yarn harlot that every yarn has its purpose. There is some purpose for every yarn, even if it's hair for a puppet made out of a paper bag. There's a purpose for it.
Absolutely. I
Cricket
can't
Knit
think of.
says about knit picks. I don't think that their cotton acrylic blend uses the crummy shiny acrylic.
Yeah. The stuff that I've seen of theirs, but again, this is one of those problems where I can't touch it. So unless you've touched it and I don't know if it's going to work. So
Yeah,
that's why I thought I'd throw it open to everybody and say, here, you've had this problem.
yeah.
Your experience with this weird question. Very odd. But that's about it. I'm going to have to go pick up thing one from his. This week it is physics in engineering.
Yikes.
He built with Connects, those little kid toy Connect snap together things.
Mm-hmm.
He built yesterday a trebuchet, and then he was going to build a catapult launcher, wrist sized, so that you could launch things off your wrist. A real wrist rocket.
Well, okay, because don't we all need that?
He's
So we're
nothing if
not.
not practical.
That's true. We're not recording next week.
Mm.
Are we recording week after next?
No, I won't see you until the 9th of August.
Okay.
That's our next go round.
Gosh, that's the week before school starts.
You guys start early. Early, early.
Yes, we start the 17th. We start the 17th. So the 9th, Abby will most likely be at band camp. Um,
When do your kids get
unless,
out? Are they out in May?
yeah, we get out in May. Our last day of school was May 25th.
Okay. Yeah. Tucson is the same.
And we don't get ski week. So um, some of the more affluent districts around here get ski week in addition to uh, spring break.
I didn't know what that was when we moved to New York, and I went, you get what now? And the kids at our school didn't call it ski week. They just called it winter break. But But everybody in the city called it Ski Week, and I went, oh, I understand because Manhattan.
Yes.
So there it is. Tra la la.
Yeah, the first place I heard of it was in Marin County, and yeah, it's one of those things where people were taking their kids out of school for that week, so they might as well make it a vacation.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
life is rough. So,
Yep. So you just stick around for another week longer at the end because seat time. Yay. All right. Any other questions or comments in the chat?
The whole stuff. What I said about the Knitflix, that's good. Knitpicks and applying two yarns together.
That's a good idea.
Robin says down there it's more like beach week. Yeah, we call it ski week, whatever people do with it. They call it ski week because it's always it's February, like President's Weekend.
Yeah.
They just extend it to a whole week.
Yeah. With the plying, Robin, if
mine just doesn't happen.
Or was it Sarah? Was it who? Was it Crooked Knits? Who said
Robin,
about the plying? Okay, that's Robin. So,
yeah.
The problem I would have had with plying was that the blues and the greens that I was finding to go along with the shimmery acrylic, they were clashing. They were so not the same greens and blues. So and plying it, I
see.
I don't know that it would have worked very well. That's where I hesitated, and that's when I just threw up my hands and said, I'll talk to people on the chat.
You have to make your own yarn.
Oh, darn. It's true. I actually do have some silk that's the right kind of seafoam greens and blues and all that stuff, but if I can't get to Tour de Fleece.
Yeah, I know. Like you have so much free time to spin that much yarn.
I've been doing nothing but eating bonbons, let me tell you. Which you could tell if I stood up and you could see my hips.
And watching telenovelas.
That's right. Esmeralda.
Oh my gosh, you remember that one too?
Yep, that's when I had my summer internship at OBEMLA, back when it was OBEMLA, the Office of Bilingual Education and Minority Languages Affairs. I remembered that at the Department of Education in DC. We all watched Esmeralda.
Okay, if you find telenovelas amusing, there is a show on Netflix that you will find hilarious because it's meant to be like a spoof on the telenovelas.
Is that the one called Eva?
It's called Jane the Virgin.
Oh, that's what that is?
It's hilarious.
I'm so happy.
And you'll even laugh at like product placement in it, and it has the narrator, Jane was surprised that, and the ridiculous situations that happen, and one of the characters is actually a telenovela actor, and it's hilarious.
I am so watching that tonight as I putter around and clean. I'm so excited.
It's just ridiculous.
Did you ever watch Sábado Gigante?
No.
It's old school vaudeville variety show. Viva Variety was on Comedy Central, and it was making fun of Sábado Gigante. But Sábado Gigante is like, I think it finally stopped recording new episodes after something like 30 years on the air. But it was exactly what you think. It was the guy who can fold himself in half, and then it was the woman who can spin all the plates, and then it was the guy who can do the tightrope, and then it was the singer who sings straight up songs, but it was the master of ceremonies who was like sábado, 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 gigante. So much. It didn't matter if you didn't speak Spanish because you just watched these acts going.
Right.
It was somewhere between the Gong Show and Carol Burnett. It was just so much fun. And we saw it a lot when we were in New York. So, but now I'm going to have to go watch Jane the Virgin. If people don't know, telenovelas are Spanish language Spanish language soap operas, but they are so far beyond. I mean, American soap operas, they will do crazy stuff. Telenovelas are just like what Erica was saying. You'll have blatant product placements. You'll have really, it's like the Department of Exposition department. It's so much fun.
Yes.
So, and a
And
great way to learn Spanish.
Their telenovelas also are for a limited time. They don't go on forever and ever and ever like All My Children.
Yeah, like Esmeralda is off
30,
the
40,
air.
they're for just a season or two, and that's it.
Yep.
And yes, they have scantily clad ladies who are not necessarily skinny, and the melodrama is just redonkulous.
It's true.
Um,
it is kind of the only place you can get really good melodrama anymore. And I say
Crooked Knits says that she clarifies that Jane the Virgin was based off a telenovela, but that there is a show that spoofs telenovelas that has Eva Longoria in it.
That I knew that she was in something, but I think that's on regular network, or maybe it's an Amazon show.
Yeah, but the Jane the Virgin, I learned about that for my kids, so
I am excited.
yeah, it's count how many times you see a reference to Target in there. It's pretty funny.
All right then, challenge accepted.
Yes.
All right. Well, have a good 2 weeks, everybody. I hope you take care of yourselves.
Yes.
Stay safe. Don't ride motorcycles where there are deer, please. Please. God.
And don't ride a motorcycle without your helmet.
And don't ride without your helmet. And yeah. And don't drive like my brother, because I don't have a brother. No, I'm kidding. That was my click and clack moment right there. All right, you be safe. Say hi to the girls. And
Skyped with Sarah. We Skyped with her 2 days in a row, and it was
wow.
her idea too. And we're going to visit her. I will have visited her by the time we record again.
Oh, good. Okay, well then we will hear about that then. Yay!
Okay.
All right, have a great week. I will talk to you guys.
You too.
In
Goodbye,
2 weeks.
everyone in the chat room.
Bye. Yay.